Randy, can you talk about why is agentic infrastructure becoming so critical for enterprises today? What pain points does it solve that traditional infrastructure cannot solve?
Well, I mean, the way that it looks to me and what we're seeing from customers is that um, it feels a bit like 2010 to 2012 for cloud native, right? So people are kind of early on. They've heard about AI agents. They are getting leverage from, frontier models, but mostly around white collar knowledge workers, whether it's coding, sales, marketing. But what they haven't done is they haven't figured out how to deploy agents that are close to the more sensitive data, electronic healthcare records, PII, customer PII data, financial data, kinds of those things where they can leverage AI to kind of get competitive advantage, right, against their peers in their vertical. And that's where they're at now, is trying to figure out how to start that process. And it's a challenge for a bunch of different reasons, right? So you look at what seems to be sort of like the default, de facto kind of standard, the glue that holds everything together. That's the Model Context Protocol from Anthropic, MCP. MCP, when launched, had no authentication or security to it. And you would connect it directly to apps on your desktop. And then it would make calls, you know, API calls, SQL calls, and what's it calling? What's it doing? Where's it sending data? And then a few months later, they added authentication and security. But what happened is kind of what happened with cloud native is you've got people who are realizing they can get immediate value out of AI. They start deploying it. They start using the tools and agents. They're developing it, and kind of security and compliance and how to run these things in production is kind of an afterthought because it's so early, right? MCP came out in spring of this year, right? So I see the following, right? People need to get educated about agentic AI. They need to figure out how to run AI agents in production. They need to understand that things like MCP weren't designed kind of with security and compliance as sort of baked in from the beginning, but more as a bolt on. And they need to figure out how to apply those AI agentic workflows to the most sensitive data that they have. If you want to do something with your electronic healthcare records, do you really want to send that data out to OpenAI or to Anthropic or to some other external, LLM? No, you probably want to deploy an internal LLM, and you want to basically use that to process your electronic healthcare records. So there's a whole bunch of kind of concerns here in terms of how you get from kind of a toy, a useful tool that's a toy at the moment into something that you can run in production.